Jewel Cave is one of the Black Hills treasures. It's located west of Custer, South Dakota and east of Newcastle, Wyoming in a 1,279-acre park of ponderosa pine. There are self-guided surface tours that you can take within the park. You will certainly see evidence of the 2000 Jasper fire that burned over 90% of the surface of Jewel Cave Monument. The many plant species have rebounded since the fire. There are 393 documented plant species at Jewel Cave National Monument. There are also many animals that can be found within the park. You might see herds of elk. There are white-tailed deer, mule deer, red squirrels, rabbits, and birds. Because of the efforts of the firefighters, all of the structures at the monument were saved. These include a historic cabin built around 1935 and the Visitor Center. The Visitor Center houses many displays relative to the park. They include rock formations that are found in the cave itself. There's historical information about the Jasper fire that we just mentioned. There's also information about the explorers that worked to map the passageways of the cave. All entrance into the cave is ranger guided. Take one of the tours into the cave and you will see the cave up close and hear about the history of the cave and the surrounding area. One of Jewel Cave's most popular tours is the scenic tour. The tour involves walking up and down 723 stair steps. It's along about a half-mile loop and it lasts about an hour and 20 minutes. Jewel Cave exists under about 3 square miles of surface area. The highest point is about 5,400 feet above sea level, and the lowest point is about 4,770 feet above sea level. The deepest point in the cave is 749 feet below ground level. Cave temperature is steady at about 49 degrees year-round. Jewel Cave is a unique world. It contains sparkling calcite crystals, delicate strands of gypsum, and other spectacular cave formations. There are large rooms, large boulders. There's also tight crawlways and dark fissures that lead to the unknown. Much of the cave is unknown. At the beginning of 1959, there were only about 2 miles of Jewel Cave that had been discovered. A geologist, Dwight Deal, enlisted the help of 2 local rock climbing enthusiasts, Herb and Jan Conn, to help him explore Jewel Cave. By 1961, they had extended the known length of the cave to more than 15 miles. Airflow indicates that there is yet much to be discovered. The discovery and exploration and mapping are done entirely by volunteers. In November of 2010, volunteers mapped 3,744 feet of cave passages. Cavers must be able to fit through tight spaces and have endurance for long camping trips. Exploration often lasts 18 to 20 hours, and camping trips themselves can last 4 days. But remember, everything in and everything out. That means that nothing is left behind. Jewel Cave is located in the Paasapa limestone rock layer of the Black Hills. The cave formed over millions of years. Water dissolved and later deposited calcium carbonate in the limestone. Groundwater and rainwater filled fractures in the limestone. Water dissolved limestone as it moved along the joints. Over millions of years, the limestone that was dissolved and carried away in solution enlarged the small fractures into larger passageways that formed a three-dimensional grid-like network. Sometime after the initial formation of passageways, new water that had flooded the cave passages deposited calcium carbonate in the form of calcite crystals. mostly in bluntly pointed hexagonal crystals called nail-head spar. Finally, the water receded, leaving all known passageways above the water table. The only known natural entrance is found in the east cliff above Hell Canyon. Blowing wind is what first attracted visitors to the area. Frank and Albert Mitchon were among the earliest, and they filed a claim in 1900. However, Jewel Cave was proclaimed a national monument by President Theodore Roosevelt in 1908. For the next 2 decades, Forest Service administrators as well as the Mitchons struggled to harmonize 2 approaches to managing Jewel Cave, but no money had been budgeted for this purpose. The Mitchon brothers attempted to both mine the cave and protect the cave and promote it for visitors. The Mitchons organized the Jewel Cave Dance Club in an effort to promote the cave. But they struggled financially, and they finally sold their claim to the government. This cleared the way for a local group to convince the Forest Service of the worthiness of their plan to develop Jewel Cave as a tourist attraction. As automobile ownership soared, interest in places like the Game Lodge at Custer State Park, as well as other caves like Wind Cave, increased dramatically. In the mid-1930s, a road between Custer and Newcastle that passed Jewel Cave was completed. It linked the southern Black Hills and the Yellowstone National Park 300 miles to the west. In 1933, management of Jewel Cave Monument moved from the Forest Service to the National Park Service. The Civilian Conservation Corps constructed Jewel Cave Ranger Cabin in 1935. A new trail and stone terrace embankment to the Jewel Cave entrance was completed by the Civilian Conservation Corps in 1935. The earlier wooden steps descending over the rocky ridge above the cave opening were removed. The National Park Service in Jewel Cave received no significant increase in park development funds until the mid-1950s. A massive decade-long program of improvement, construction, and protection called Mission 66 resulted in nearly $1 billion in National Park System funding from 1956 to 66. The underground discoveries of the Conns played a critically important role in influencing the Mission 66 development of Jewel Cave. Construction of the scenic area cave trail, elevator shafts, an elevator, visitor center, maintenance area, and parking lot culminated in the opening of the Scenic Cave Tour and Visitor Center in 1972. The Ranger Cabin, constructed in 1935, is the only historic structure at Jewel Cave. It was placed on the National Registry of Historic Places in April of 1995. The Lantern Tour, a 1930s-style adventure, begins at the restored Ranger Cabin. Visitors enter and leave through the historic entrance and view the cabin from an unpaved trail. The guides on this tour wear historic uniforms and lead visitors down the stone stairways on the trail to the cave entrance. The only light on this tour is provided by the lanterns that each visitor carries. The tour, a route of approximately a half mile, includes steep wooden steps. Tour guides take you on a visit to passages called the Dungeon and Heavenly Rooms, among others. The tour is considered strenuous and lasts approximately 2 hours. This is the way the early visitors to the cave experienced it. Lots of wooden steps and lots of bending and stooping. No matter how you choose to tour Jewel Cave, whether it be the scenic tour or the historic lantern tour, you'll be amazed by the beauty of this Black Hills jewel. You'll be one of 80,000 people who visit Jewel Cave annually. From the spectacular calcite deposits to the Bacon formations, Jewel Cave, at over 152 miles, is the second longest cave in the world. Much has happened and much had happened leading up to the 100th birthday of Jewel Cave in 2008. There will be many more discoveries in the years to come. If you have not been to Jewel Cave, you will want to come. If you have been to Jewel Cave, you will want to come back. A jewel in the Black Hills of South Dakota, Jewel Cave.